you ever tell somebody what you do for a living and then have them say, how can you do that job? Well, I have, and I have a story that might help to answer that question. Hospice nurses help patients and their families through the dying process, but they also have the responsibility of going to the patient's home and doing the pronouncement of death and taking care of some final details. And I was kind of weirdly suited to this job because I grew up in a family of undertakers. My mother's family had been undertakers for over 100 years. And when I was a kid, my Uncle Buddy ran the business, and he many times had to leave family gatherings to go pick up a body. So I would always hear the term like, Buddy has a body, Buddy got a body. It's like, okay. And my Uncle Buddy lived with his wife and 6 kids in the back of the funeral home. And I was always over there playing with my cousins. So I saw a lot of these bodies when we would sneak into the funeral home. And I remember one day seeing this lady lying on a table in the morgue, and she had curlers in her hair. And I thought that seemed so silly, like why would you curl somebody's hair when they're dead? So I asked my mom, and she said, well, that's so, the lady will look nice when her family comes to see her. So many years later, I become a hospice nurse, and I would have to start making these time of death visits, we call them. Many times I had to leave a holiday meal to go do this. And I remember one time driving to a patient's home and thinking, I think this is my version of Buddy Got a Body. And it had just started to seem kind of routine after a while. So one day, it was the 4th of July, and I was on call for our team, and I actually got called out here to Chester County, and I walked into the home of an elderly man wearing green plaid pajamas, and his daughter and son-in-law had this look on their face of nervous anticipation because they know that I'm the person who's going to officially pronounce their father dead. And I remember when I first used to make these visits, one of the first times I did it, I was listening with my stethoscope to make sure there was no heartbeat. And when I took the stethoscope out of my ears, the patient's daughter said, is she really dead? And God forgive me, but all I could think of was that scene in The Wizard of Oz when the house lands on the Wicked Witch of the East and the little munchkin corner comes up and goes, she's not only merely dead, she's really most sincerely dead. Oh God. Kind of, you get weird thoughts sometimes. It just, you gotta cope any way you can. It's a strange job. So after I pronounced the man in the green plaid pajamas, his daughter and son-in-law asked me if I would dress him in some different clothes. Now, no one ever asked me to do that before, and they already told me he was going to be cremated, so I didn't really see why he needed to be wearing a special outfit, but, I'm a nurse. I said, sure, no problem. So the son-in-law comes out from the bedroom with this really nice pair of navy dress slacks and says, no need for underwear. Dad always went commando. Okay. So then the daughter comes out with this nice navy blue suit coat to match the pants and this starched white shirt and a bright red tie. And again, my thoughts, I'm like, okay, red, white, and blue, 4th of July is this, but just thinking, So the problem was the man was lying on this low futon they had set up in the living room, so I had to really bend down and kneel down and try to maneuver this poor guy out of the PJs and into this fancy outfit. So I get the pants and the shirt and the suit coat on, and then the son-in-law steps in and carefully ties the tie, and his daughter's all excited because she finds this red handkerchief to match the tie, and she carefully puts that in the breast pocket. So by now we're kind of all getting into getting this guy dressed. So they tell me that their daughter was away at college, but the son-in-law found this really nice photograph of her, and he came out and he put that in the coat pocket. So I'm getting into it now myself. But I was really tired of bending over and trying to, kneel on this futon. So believe it or not, at one point I was lying down on the futon, propped up on one elbow, combing the guy's hair, and thinking, I wonder what my friends are doing on the 4th of July. But the final touch came when his daughter goes over in the corner, and there's a little table that held an urn that had her mom's ashes. So she takes a little bit of the ashes and puts it in a small container, and then she just very gently puts that in a pocket. And it was just really sweet. And, so at that point when we were all finished, the guy really did look pretty good. I mean, putting him in those nice clothes did make his body more presentable. But the fact that they put the photograph of his, granddaughter in the pocket and his wife's ashes, I realized that served to make him more of the person that he had been to them, a husband and a father and a grandfather. And I could see that it really connected them as a family. And I felt connected to them too, because an hour earlier we were strangers, and by the time I left, we were all hugging each other. So later, when I was thinking about that experience, I couldn't help but think of that lady in the morgue with the curlers in her hair. And I decided that no act or gesture is too silly or too strange if it gives people what they need to say that last goodbye. Thank you.